Okay, so today we have a MacBook Air. I think it's a 2011 13-inch, and it is not turning on, and it's giving some beeps. So I'll demonstrate some beeps for you. It's a, what is it, an A1369. Alright, so I'll plug it into the charger, and we can see that there's no light because I've got a dodgy charger, but if I fiddle with it, there we go. So it does charge. It does charge, but if we try and turn it on, we get power button, so we get 3 beeps and it just continues forever. So I thought I turned it off. Let's try again. Let's hold the power button. There we go, we killed it. Alright, so 3 beeps is usually a RAM fault. So we'll get the back cover off it. As you can see, I have the most professional video setup ever. I've got that phone sitting on a stack of boxes, and this phone as the wide cam on this tripod that's like making my work environment a bit small. And then I've got the microscope in the middle of everything. So yeah, bit hard to work with, but hopefully this will be my first YouTube video. So let's get going. Alright, so it looks pretty clean. A little bit of dust, but doesn't seem to be any liquid damage, which is good. Alright, we need a different bit for the inside. Be a Torx, probably a T5. Let's see. Yep, T5 is it. Actually, before we take the SSD out, we should disconnect the battery. I'll take the SSD out. Now we've disconnected the battery and taken the SSD out. Now with the charger connected, let's see if we get the same behavior. Yep, alright. Which is good and bad. It means that it probably is RAM, but it could also be the CPU, the PCH, a bunch of other things, but we're going to reflow the RAM today and see if that changes anything. So we'll get the display connector off. I don't know if we have to take the DC in board off. Do it anyway. Now you have to really keep those heatsink ones in order, because if you put the wrong screw in here, you'll long screw damage the motherboard and potentially kill it. So that fan is free. Where does its cable go? Just there. So the board is moving, but the heatsink seems to be trapped in there. I don't know what it's trapped on though. Maybe it's under the DC board. guess we take the DC board out, or at least lever it. Can I just lever it? So we have successfully levered it. But what is this heatsink stuck on? I don't see a screw. Oh, I do see a screw. It's a cheeky little bugger in there. It's hiding. There's a cable in the way as well. That is very annoying. There we go. So, does the board come out now? Looks like it's trapped by the speaker down this end. Oh. Feels like it's kind of attached still by like a cable or something. Hopefully that's not true. It is still attached by a cable. Oops. That's alright. Alright, so now that we've got the housing out of the way, let's have a look at the board. So, what do we got? Bunch of RAM chips. If we have a look with the microscope, alright, so we'll get this rubber thing out of the way so that, whoa, so that when we use some heat we don't melt or damage the rubber thing. Alright, so I mean, it's a little bit dirty, but I don't see anything that would indicate to me that this board has any liquid damage yet. No, it's just a bit of dust. It looks alright. Okay, so we'll apply heat. This little rubber thing is going to burn. Probably leave the bottom one, but there's nothing too crazy as far as plastic or other things will get damaged, so we can just sort of take this peel off, hopefully. It's peeling the plastic backing off the adhesive instead of bringing the adhesive up. That's okay, we don't really need this piece anyway. So if it just comes off in one go, that's the way it's going to be. Why is there going to be so many flipping chips? How many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 chips. And this is a finger for scale. There's little capacitors and resistors and stuff in the middle there, these ones. They're very tiny, and if I make a wrong bump, those are just going to go yeet off into the abyss. So I'm going to not do that. But what we can do is chuck a bunch of flux on here. If my flux would dispense. Yeah, here we go. Whoa, okay. Bunch of flux. Alright, doesn't have to be pretty because it's all gonna go everywhere anyway. But that should be plenty, probably way more than it needs. And yeah, so, okay, just getting my microscope in the right place. So when I do this, I'm going to have to move the board, and I would rather do that with the silicon pad. So we'll get from this end. Can we get all the way to the other end in one go? We can. Okay. So basically we're going to use the hot air station, and I've got it on, what have I got it on? I've got it on 80% air at 480 degrees, which is the hottest my station goes to. And we're just going to heat up these chips one by one, make sure that they're floating. So give them just the tiniest of taps just to see that they're floating. And if they're floating, move on to the next chip, do them all. And hopefully our RAM issue is fixed, because just reflowing these RAM chips is really the only thing that you should do on these, because it's so old, it's from 2011, that buying RAM and reballing and repasting and resoldering them on is just going to cost way too much. You could just buy a second-hand device. So let's have a go. Looks like that one's floating now. It is. Might have been a bit too much of a bump. Hopefully that didn't mess it up. It's floating. Guess that one is. We've reflowed all of our RAM chips. We're just going to let the board rest for a little bit. And hopefully the silicon pad that's underneath it expanded, didn't move any of the components on the other side of the board. And we'll just wait for that to cool down, because that whole board is going to be extremely hot. Let's check the other side of the board. The other side of the board only has a big empty spot for where the SSD is, so definitely that silicon pad would not have moved anything. Alright. So for the housing, what do we need? We need the DC board, the display, and a speaker. Do we need the display? Probably. Yep, so DC board, a speaker, and a display. We'll see if we still have beeping. Alright, how hot is this board? It's still pretty toasty. That heatsink is very hot. Alright, might just give it a quick isopropyl and toothbrush just to make sure that the housing doesn't get too sticky from the testing assembly we're going to do in a sec. Make sure there's no big globs that are coming away from the board. Alright, it looks like all the isopropyl's gone. Just a big sticky mess of flux, but that's okay because the electronics will still work just fine with a bunch of flux on them. So let's do a test install. Alrighty, so pop our DC board in. Got a little bit of flux on my finger. DC board's in. We will pop the display connector in. Hopefully don't mangle it while we're at it. Alrighty, the display connector is in. And we'll reconnect this speaker. And really that should be about it for what's like really required to get this going. I'll put the screen towards you guys. So if it works, we will see a no SSD question mark folder. Right, so we pop the charger in. We can't because that's not the right side. Let's go on this side. I'll pop the charger on. We will pop the charger on. And we will get nothing. I wonder if that's my charger or if I've broken the board. Okay, what do we got? We've got that connected. We don't have the battery connected. We do have the display connected. We shouldn't really need anything else. Oh, we do have a screen. Oh, I don't have the fan connected. I should probably disconnect that. Alright. I didn't even look at the screen. So our processor is not very hot, so let's have another go. So plug the charger in. There's no light on the charger, but we do have a white screen. Oh, there's no light on the charger because I don't have the big flex cable installed, and this flex cable will give our charger its light if I was to have that connected. Alright. So do we get a no SSD found error? Like a little question mark folder. Come on, we do! So this MacBook is probably working just fine now. Sweet! Alright, well, because I've got no fan on it. Ah, the processor's not even hot. Yes, no SSD found. Excellent. Alright, we'll kill it. We'll give the board a proper cleaning so that it's flux free to go back in the housing. And then we will reassemble the board. Well, not board, the whole laptop. And we'll have a perfectly working MacBook Air. Hey! Very sweet. Alright, let's go DC board out, display connector out, speaker connector out, and get it out of the housing. Alright, sticky flux hands. I wish I had an ultrasonic cleaner. That'd make this job a lot easier right now. So we want to suspend the flux in the ISO and then dab as much of it up as we can. So that got rid of a lot of the flux, but we should also, now I've got a tripod in my way, should be able to get some Q-tips and finish the job in the hard to reach areas. Actually, I quite liked the toothbrush method. It seemed to work pretty well, to be honest. Get the bit of dust off the end here. Now, is what I just did as good as an ultrasonic cleaning? Definitely not. But given that this laptop was dead, I think my friend will be very happy that it's alive, regardless of the fact that maybe it's a tiny bit sticky now. Alright. So we get our housing again. That up like this in order to put that first screw back in. So we need to get all of these connectors on top of the board so that when we put the board down, these keyboard and other connectors don't get trapped. Like that. Come on. Okay, so we put that first screw in. Don't do it too tight so all the other holes have a chance of lining up. But now we've got that first screw, we should run this cable and seat it where it wants to be seated. I've seen MacBooks where people don't reseat this cable and then it gets caught in the hinge and squashed, or caught in the board, squashed, and then people are like, my Wi-Fi doesn't work. Yeah, it's because you took it apart and you didn't put it back together properly. Oh yeah, there's plenty of room, I just wasn't forceful enough with it before. There we go, nice and tight. So we can tighten up all the rest of them. And you just give them a little cinch down, you don't need to reef on them because they're just little MacBook screws. Alright, we can pop the fan back in. Actually, we should have put this back in earlier. I wonder if that's going to even be possible to put back in now. Heck. Alright, the board is going to come out to put the little rubber gasket back on. This is what happens when you're not an experienced tech, when you've only done this a few times. Alright, so we have DC board all connected apart from the ribbon cable, but we'll pop the fan in first. So the fan needs to go in this direction. And it'll probably be best to get that little ribbon cable in before the rest of it so we don't forget. How do I do this? God. Does it go in further, or is that little white line a indicator for how far it goes? There we go. Now, we most importantly put the screws back in the same holes they came from, because this screw here is a long screw, and so the long screw definitely has to go in the correct hole, or else you will break your motherboard. And then this screw, which is a medium screw, goes in this hole, because if it's any longer it will break the board. And another long screw goes in the bottom. Is it the right hole? It's the right hole, but it's not lined up. Now we can put our mainboard screws back in that we took out before. Alright, so we got all our main board screws back in. Now we finish up with the connectors. So we can pop our flex back on for the DC board. Oh, that one felt a bit funky. Did I do it right? Ooh. Yeah, it doesn't look to be damaged, so I think it's just a bit of a tight fit. That felt better that second time. Alrighty. I've got some really annoying ones. Where are my tweezers? There they are. There's only just enough room for that one in front of the battery. Like, Jesus. This one's difficult. Ah, there we go. Pop the speaker back in. And lastly, well, before the power, the display connector. The display connector is back in. Alright, so I think we have fully reassembled that, minus, of course, the SSD. Can't forget that. Alright, so a moment of faith time, we'll connect the battery. we'll see if we have a working laptop. Oh, that's a beautiful sound, isn't it? Amazing. Apple logo. There we go. Everything's working. Sweet. Alright, well, we'll just pop the bottom on and we'll finish it up. So thank you very much for watching me repair this RAM problem on this MacBook, I think it was a 2011 model. Yeah. See you in the next video. Bye.